It's humps, slumps, bumps, dumps, and then once again pumps. And we're seeing that part of the market cycle play out once again with Bitcoin all the way back at $66,000. A very, very significant move. So in today's show, we're going to assess what it means for Bitcoin to move out of phase 4 and into phase 5 of the bull run. How much longer can we expect this run to continue for? How high could we possibly go? And is the bottom actually in? Make sure you smash the like button, hit the bell notification, and subscribe to the channel, and then let's get straight into it. So I'm starting off over here with this chart, which is of course from Peter Brandt, which is obviously one of the most world famous traders, a veteran trader over here, and ultimately shown what you can see within these slump phases of the market cycle. And they say never short a dull market, never short a dull market. And the last couple of weeks have definitely been that dull market, with price dumping below the prior slumps, right? View that as a break below the range lows and a swing failure pattern breaking back up into the range. And ultimately, that's where you catch the market by surprise and you start to pump once again. Most of the retail traders at that point have already left. We can see it over here. If you look at the search terms on Google, looking at crypto and Bitcoin, you can see how it's been downtrending, right? It's been downtrending for quite some time as prices move towards the downside. So nowhere near those peak levels, right? We haven't got anywhere close to those peak levels in terms of where you see the social metrics, and ultimately that's a positive sign. Another positive sign is it's played out in accordance with what we're looking at over here with Bitcoin's volume declining, right? You can see the decline in the volume, and we said watch as the next pump starts to take place. If you still see that happening on pretty low volume, it's even more of a telltale sign of what's to come next. Not only to mention that, but you also have price obviously breaking back above after hitting that previous range high, right? So the range high that in all the prior times of the bull run had led to that deviation, which sent price lower. We're now flipping that level into support, and that usually creates a very, very strong base for continuation higher. So we need to see a little bit more from the bulls. It's not completely set in stone yet. I'm going to give you the levels today where you need to see price action start to close, but it's a positive sign that we're starting to see the momentum shift, and we're seeing bulls slowly but surely start to take over. And it's all in accordance with exactly what we've been looking at, right? We said that throughout this part of the bull run, all the major bottoms occurred on a 40 to 50 reset on the fear and greed, right? So when the fear and greed gets into the 40 to 50 zone, which ultimately means you're moving from that fearful or the greedy zone into the neutral zone, and then just starting to dip your toes back into the fearful zone. And that's exactly where price action starts to bottom. And that's exactly what we saw, right? We saw the reset on the fear and greed over there, which is looking good. We also looked at the timing and of the previous corrections. How long did they last and how deep did they go? And it's all in alignment, right, with the usual 20 to 23% corrections, and timing wise this was on the longer end. The longest one that we had was 63 bars, and then we immediately went into a big pump. So very, very similar to what you saw over here on this chart, leading from the slump into a dump and then back up into a pump, right? So will this time be any different? So far it's not looking like it will be any different. We had 62 days within this corrective phase before we started to break structure back towards the upside. So all in all, that's looking good. And that opens up the possibility that the parabolic curve is going to continue, right? So you can see over here from 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏, he posted this quite some time ago, and he's been following it pretty well for quite some time. And he's going into detail over here what happens in the second correction, which is base 4, right? Base 4 over here. That's the level that we needed to hold. I also outlined on the weekly time frame the significance of that weekly candle, and we spoke about what happens when price action comes back into that zone. So we can have a look over here. We marked it off. If I zoom in, and I can actually show you over here. Let's just quickly clear that up. If we zoom into that weekly candle, it hit exactly into perfectly the 21 exponential moving average. Then we said, let's mark off the 50% level, which was over there. That's 50% of the wick. And oftentimes you'll fill some of that liquidity. Now, I mean, I would consider that close enough, right? On many exchanges, it probably hit. I missed the target by 0.61%. But you guys know it. We've been speaking about the expansion of the M2 money supply for quite some time as well, saying that this is most likely going to be a buy the dip opportunity. This is a corrective phase. It's all within the realms of what we expect to see. And as soon as we start to clear above the green line, which we're above right now, if we close there, you've confirmed the higher low, and then you're going to see expansion very, very quickly towards the upside. You're going to see the market running hard. Now, I've opened up a brand new trade for the first time in a long time. You guys remember those leveraged positions that I had open, which were up in the region of the highest ones, 45,000% gains. I've just started opening up the first position again. This time I'm taking a little bit of a more different approach. Previously, we had a massive assortment of different trades. This time I'm going to go more concentrated, focusing on only a couple of things that I think are going to be big winners, and I'm going to size up on those trades in a massive way. So stay tuned till the end of the show. Smash the like button, hit the bell notification, subscribe to the channel if you want to see that trade. Again, let's get the likes up to 1,000 as quick as possible. There's more than 2,000 of you live right now at the start of the show, and we have 300 likes. So smash the like button, and then let's continue. So talking about moving from, here you go, the second correction phase from base 4 into the third and final impulse. This would, of course, imply that this is then going to be a left translated cycle. Now, I'm not convinced yet, but as a trader, I'm willing to adapt and adjust my bias if I start to see prices move vertically, which is what you would expect in that final phase, right? Which is going to be phase 5, moving from phase 4 into phase 5 of the Elliott wave, right? This was the corrective phase, and we're looking to go into major expansion. Where do you start to confirm the expansion from this phase? Well, as soon as you start to break the prior all-time highs on the weekly time frame, especially with a closing weekly candle above that level, that's where you expect that you're going to start to rip towards the upside. So these are some of the scenarios. Keep it in the back of your mind's eye as we go on with the rest of this bull market. I will update you on a day-to-day basis, which is why it's so important to hit the bell notification, so that if we start to flip our bias and adjust based on new information, you will be the first to find that information out. So one of the other telltale signs that we're looking at was, of course, the stock market, the S&P 500 on the top left, the NASDAQ on the top right, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average on the bottom right, which were hovering just around 2% away from those all-time highs. And now you can start to see, of course, the break into all-time highs for all three of those major stock markets, which ultimately means that it's probably going to be a catch-up trade for crypto, because this is the sequence of events, right? Usually in the broader spectrum of markets, you'll see real estate running first, which is the biggest asset class in the entire world, worth trillions and trillions of dollars. Then you'll see the likes of gold, S&P 500, other risk on assets, and then finally on the further end down the risk curve, the right side of the risk curve, which is the more risky things, which are considered to be Bitcoin and other crypto assets, those will usually be the last to run, which now I'm expecting a catch up to happen on Coinbase stock as well as the rest of the crypto assets. And here's a better analysis, right? If you look over here at the history of the S&P 500 chart overlaid with Bitcoin, so S&P in blue and then Bitcoin in the orange, you can see most of the time they move pretty well in unison, and Bitcoin tends to top when it's completely deviated far away from the S&P 500, again because people are wanting to take on more risk. It's like trading the S&P 500 on 25 to 50x leverage. You expect it to overshoot like you saw over here. Now currently, if you want to use this as a mean reversion trade, Bitcoin is underperforming the S&P 500 in terms of the fractal. If you mark it off like this and you overlay them, we're underperforming. You expect that this should overshoot the performance of the S&P 500, and that's when we'll start to look for signs and symptoms of a market cycle top. So this has all got a lot to do with yesterday's CPI data, which came out exactly on par, exactly as was expected over here. The results were what the market was expecting. Core inflation in the US as though officially hit a 3-year low, which is pretty significant. And you have Alex Kruger also coming out saying Stocks are at an all-time high. Long rates have topped out. The dollar has also topped. We spoke about that, the pullback within the dollar and the potential breakdown. We need to see a lot more from the DXY or the dollar index to break down, but there is some signs that that may take place. And if that does take place, expect that crypto is going to run, right? The world economy is growing. Remember, I spoke about the M2 money supply going up. That means new liquidity coming into the market, and that means expansion of all markets, which means asset prices tend to go up. Powell's dovish. Central banks are about to start cutting rates. QT is tapering, is about to start. Remember, we covered that a couple of weeks ago, saying that that looks set to take course in June, which is only a few weeks away, right? And he says, and you guys decide that the bull market is over because you bought the wrong altcoins. Imagine the yield curve inversion signals recession, and you believe that rate cuts are bearish. So all in all, obviously pretty bullish. When you look at what's happening with oil, that is also an indicator of inflation coming down, right? Oil's telling you there's low inflation numbers to come shorter term. And he says this plus today's employment data, that's one economic event that's coming out today, right? Mark it off on your calendar. Let's see what happens with the unemployment claims. And ultimately, this all signals very, very positive signs for the risk on assets. We have the stochastic RSI, which is completely reset and starting to turn up. Now you can see, at least within this bull run, the significance of this. There it crossed back up from the bottom over there, led to a big move up. Here it again crossed over here, led to a big spike up. Here was another one, the next bottom, the next slump that we had within the market. So going back to this chart over here, you go through those phases, right? Humps, slumps, bumps, dumps, and then pumps. Think of it like that. Humps, slumps, bumps, dumps, and then another pump. So are we seeing the same thing? Well, ultimately, if you start to see the break above this range high level at $65,000, more specifically on a closing basis, that will start to get that stochastic RSI moving back above the 25-point level, which is where bulls will start to slowly take back momentum and control. And then you expect a rather big breakout. It's going to happen quick, guys. This is why you ultimately need to have your wits about you, right? Be in a position ready to pull the trigger as quick as possible. When you know that you're in a high time frame uptrend in a bull market, right? And at the same time, the daily trend, which was down, starts to shift back towards the upside. That's where you want to pull the trigger on the longs. It's all in alignment with what you would expect within the cycle. You have the funding rates, which have completely reset. And in fact, some of them are even negative. TON is at negative 40%, which means if you leverage long on TON right now, you're actually getting paid to hold those longs. And look at the rest of the coins. They are marginally positive. This is considered more flat than anything, which is one reason why, of course, I've opened up the position. So one of the positions that I just started to open up a trade on, and I'm going to be scaling in, building hopefully a substantial position in this, is RUNE, right? RUNE is one of the positions. Let's go on to RUNE over here, and we can just see in relation to that stochastic RSI, more or less, where is this? Well, we're about to break above the previous week's high. If you look at RUNE stochastic RSI, I think this one can get moving really quickly over here. If you can see RUNE break above that previous week's high, which is literally right now sitting at about $6.56. It's very close from here. I think you're going to start to see rapid expansion towards the upside, and the next resistance will be coming in at $8.68, and then I'll probably do a little bit of profit taking over there, and then on the next pullback look to scale more into this position. So that is 33% up from here. So with the reset in funding, it's a good time to start to look to build those leverage positions, right? Pay attention to those positions. Remember, the previous positions that we had here, we had something like 42 trades open at one point, with about 97% of them up, thousands of percent in profit. And in hindsight, remember when I closed those positions, a lot of you were thinking that was a bad idea. I asked the community to help me on the decision. Most of you said leave them open. And in hindsight, that was a fantastic idea, because what happened next was obviously going through this phase of the cycle, right? Let's quickly go back to this chart over here. We started to go through, where's it? The slumps, dumps. There we go. We started to go through this phase, which is a choppy environment that absolutely wrecks leverage traders. So a nice big move within the market. You're seeing the likes of Phantom, as we'll bring up Phantom's chart today, moving up 24% in a single day. And this is a little bit of a different picture, right? If you look at the Banter Bubbles charts over here, what are you noticing? Well, In the top 100 over here, the meme coins right now, look at Shiba Inu, are starting to get outperformed, right? By finally the utility token, Shiba Inu Bonk. So you're getting the more real tokens that have actual use cases running harder than the meme coins. And some even speculate that this may be the end of the meme coin cycle. I think maybe a little bit otherwise. We'll look into the altcoins, we'll look at the charts and analysis and see if that is in fact true or if that is absolute BS. Nevertheless, if you do want to get some sort of allocation into meme coins like GUMMY, at least in terms of Run's portfolio, his longer term positions are going to be both GUMMY and 𝗘𝗬𝗕𝗓. I don't hold too much GUMMY, but I hold quite a lot of 𝗘𝗬𝗕. So full disclosure, I hold a lot of 𝗘𝗬𝗕. The other ones that I have is PEPE coin, right? But this is the OG PEPE coin that was actually created in 2013. It hit the fair value gap perfectly. That's where we started to load up. And of course, now price is starting to move up higher. So it looks like an absolutely beautiful entry. When it comes to GUMMY, we know the community is heavily behind this. If you do want to qualify for an airdrop, it's really dead simple. You can do so on Bybit, right? There's going to be a 15 million GUMMY airdrop, which is going to be going out. If you want to take this trade with me on Bybit and you want to open other trades with me on Bybit, use the link in the description below. If you go through here into the YouTube, you can see it on the top here. This is literally the easiest way to make money. Firstly, you're going to get your portion of that 15 million worth of GUMMY tokens. And secondly, by depositing $100 and trading $500 worth of volume, which is very easy. You open up one trade on $100, that's on 5x leverage, open, close it, literally, even if it's a second, open, close it, you've done $500 of volume. As you do that, you will immediately get, well, at the end of the campaign, they'll airdrop you $100, right? Literally $100 straight into your account in the form of USDT. It's the literal easiest possible way to make $100. Use that link, click that exact link, it will take you through to this page, sign up, register, take the trade with $100. So deposit $100, take the trade with $100, and it's as easy as that. Okay, let's move this to the end because we are going to go through some more meme coins. The other way that you can get GUMMY, there's two ways. The other way is to go onto 𝗓𝗏𝗓, which the link is also below. Go through to 𝗓𝗏𝗓 over here, sign up, and spin the wheel. Very easy. Spin the wheel. It's a little gambling wheel. Spin the wheel. Whatever it lands on is how much GUMMY tokens you're going to get. So nice and fun. Okay. Back into the YouTube views. One reason why we're nowhere near the top is look at what you expect in terms of YouTube views, right? You expect the YouTube views to spike to absolutely insane heights when the market peaks. Where are we at right now? Is retail here? Of course, there is some retail here. If you're not trading institutional funds, then ultimately you retail. But let's be honest, you guys are very smart retail. We have, and I hate to, discriminate against anyone, but it's the reality of life. You have smart money and you have dumb money. Smart money has been around the whole time. Dumb money is only going to come back probably when you start to see Bitcoin in the region of $90,000 to $100,000. As it starts to reach those round numbers, right, near $100,000, that's when you're going to see the YouTube views spike to ridiculous heights. On a live stream, I'm probably going to have about maybe 10 to 20,000 people live. Right now, we have about 3,000 people live. And that's where you know that you need to start to be careful and look to potentially take profit within the market. So it lets at least help to get some of the not so smart money back. One way that you can do that is smash the like button. It helps to tickle the YouTube algorithm and put the show content out to more people sooner rather than later. At the end of the day, we don't want anyone to get wrecked. All right, looking at our chart patterns, our LARP lines, which have not been adjusted or messed with at all. We looked at the potential for the W formation over here, sweeping into the range low. It's exactly what we got. So this was, of course, the swing failure pattern. We viewed that as such. We came back down to retest that, and now we're starting to get the move towards the upside. So all in all, this is looking phenomenally good. The fact that we have a daily candle close that looks like that is extremely positive. Now, On the next chart, I'll start to give you pullback levels that you can look at more on a low time frame so that you can allocate into position, right? Ultimately, price is above all the levels that matter. We are above the pivot level. We're above the 1 hour 200 exponential moving average and the 4 hour 200 exponential moving average yesterday. And throughout the week, actually, I told you, monitor that 200 EMA on the 4 hour time frame for your short-term trends to flip back up. Price needs to get back above that level. And that's what we started to see, right? I also spoke about how the pivot level constantly is going to go lower and lower and lower and lower, which means it becomes increasingly more difficult for bears to hold the momentum towards the downside. It's like a big ball that you're trying to push and shove underwater. Have you ever seen that meme with the polar bear trying to hold the Pilates ball underwater? And ultimately, he can only hold it there for a certain amount of time. And then eventually, as he lets go, boom, what happens? It pops back towards the top side. And that's where you see these momentum oscillators shift up so quickly, right? So very, very important. This is why. Watch the show, guys. I mean, I covered this pretty extensively. A lot of people may have missed it because they just got bored of the market. But that's the time that you need to sit there and focus. You need to remain within the market. Not only that, but if we come over here and we quickly turn off the price, what else can you notice? Well, you can see we're getting a real telltale sign as well, with the 9 and the 18 exponential moving average once again crossing back towards the upside. Now, you do get chop, right? Within the range levels, you get chop with those signals where at one moment it's holding you in, the next moment it's out, the next moment it's back in, next moment it's out. As long as you understand how price action works within these ranges, right? How it oscillates and bounces within these ranges, as long as you understand how to tie in both the ranges and the trends, you got the swing failure pattern, then you can understand when to take these signals seriously. The fact that we've been timing wise within this range for such a long period of time, right? Around 63 days, is now the time I would start to really take this cross very, very seriously. And I'd say that the next pullback is probably going to be a significant buy the dip opportunity, which will likely catapult prices higher. At the end of the day, there's pent up liquidity based on short sellers, right? Pent up liquidity, pent up liquidity, pent up liquidity, and boom, you hit some of that liquidity. I do expect that the rest of this liquidity will also get taken at some point in the form of price moving back above those range highs, which means sweeping above that $74,000 level. So all in all, it's looking good. If we look at the back end and see what's happening over here under the hood of price, you can see the cumulative volume delta is picking back up. We are still on low volume. This is now on the hourly time frame. You obviously had a big shoot up in open interest. Funding rates went negative for a certain amount of time, and that's always a strong buying opportunity when you see something like that. So what would the pullback levels be? Now, it depends, because sometimes price action, if momentum shifts bullish very, very quickly, you might only consolidate sideways, right? So after a big move like this, let's grab our tool over here. After a big move up like this, there is a chance that you consolidate sideways within this region, and that allows for all these different EMAs to catch up to price, at which point, well, this level that we're at right now would become the buying opportunity. But in the instance that there is a deeper pullback, this is what the level is that I want you to focus on. Now, I'll have to clean this chart up at some point because it's getting quite messy, but this is really the level that I want you to focus on, which is going to be a pullback back into $63,000 to $64,000. That would line up with your EMAs, which are currently moving towards the upside. Focus on the red and the blue one. As the red one starts to cross up above the blue one, and you get that cross, which we call a golden cross, oftentimes that acts like a magnet, pulling price directly back into that zone. That'll create a little bit of panic and fear for the late longs that got into the market, but ultimately it becomes a buy the dip opportunity where you expect your next higher low to form and price to continue higher. So if you don't already have exposure into the market, consider scaling in as price comes into that zone. That's why, based on the RUNE trade, which I just showed you, I've only started to scale into the position. And the way that I do this is as such. I would usually take, let's say, the RUNE position. I believe price action is going to start to move up. I would take 10%. Allocate 10% in now. If price starts to come down, you kind of dollar cost average into the position on leverage. Have enough capital allocated. Determine your risk. Where are you wrong on the idea? You shouldn't be losing more than 2 or 3% of your total account if you are wrong on the idea. So that's what we're looking at over there. Okay, let's continue. Let's continue on over here. So we saw open interest went up about $1 billion. This was obviously posted yesterday. And the question is, which way was price action going to move, right? And Byzantine General says over here, it looked like it was mostly dominated by short sellers, which means that ultimately this move up is a short squeeze. If you look at the order book over here, and we can try and see, are there any massive orders coming in for Bitcoin where there could be some major selling? You can see the order book is pretty empty, right? The order book is pretty empty. Your next biggest sell orders are going to be over here at $75,000, which currently is about 303 Bitcoin on the order book, which it's not necessarily for me significant enough to worry about price action. At the end of the day, it still remains that this range high is the next level. It's the next major target that we're going for. That is where your liquidity is. So currently, longs to shorts in terms of liquidations. There are late longs that are jumping into the market with 452 long liquidations versus only 73 shorts. So don't jump in too late. Wait for a pullback. If you do scale in now, scale in slowly, right? Okay, here's the RUNE trade. Let's see. Price came perfectly into these zones. Higher low, higher low, higher low. Beautiful. Look at that retest that happened yesterday into the mid-range on the daily time frame, and price starting to bounce. I'm someone that prefers to wait for a bit more confirmation. So full disclosure, I didn't long at $5.50 on this one over here, but price is starting to move, and I'm viewing a more high time frame trade on RUNE. So let's see if we can take out that wick over there. If we do, resistance is going to be coming in over here at about $7. This is the order block that led to the initial breakdown, but things are going to go turbo bullish as soon as you reclaim this range high level. So you can see our price is chopped within this range. As soon as you get above that level, it's going to start to look very, very good. So RUNE currently up 4%. Let's check on that trade over there. We're up $4,200, 12%, 13%. Rounded up. I just opened this trade literally right now. So let's see. We'll watch that. We'll watch that as the day unfolds. Now, we'll get into some of the altcoins in a moment. Please, guys, let's get it to 1,000 likes. I'll take your altcoin request. We're just a few likes away from there. Also, start dropping your altcoin requests in the chat over there. And then we also look at some of the meme coins, right? I know that some of the meme coins, ironically, went down as the market pumped, which is obviously a little bit uncharacteristic with new liquidity coming in. You'd think that people are going to want to bet on the more riskier assets. Now, very, very quick mention over here. This is not a sponsorship. I'm not sponsored by them. It's really just an opportunity for you guys to get points, right? If you get points over here, they're going to be doing a massive airdrop. It's something absolutely incredible, which is 𝗕𝗬𝗕𝗥. The link is in the description below. If you use that exact link, so let's just quickly see where exactly is that link. Here it is. There you go. Also, you'll receive GUMMY tokens for clicking this link, right? $1 million in GUMMY tokens is going to be airdropped to the network users, but you're also going to get airdropped from the actual 𝗕𝗬𝗕𝗥 airdrop when they actually launch a token, right? So click that link, go through there. Now, switching like this is something incredible, right? They're not only switching between different altcoins, but they're switching across chain. So what you can do is you can, for example, you have coins on Polygon over there. You can choose what do you have. Do you have Matic on Polygon? And do you want to switch it into, let's say, Tether on Avalanche? Then you can do that. Select Matic chain or Polygon chain, select the coin that's on the Polygon chain, select USDT on the chain of your choice, connect your wallet. I'm not going to connect my wallet for safety reasons, so I can't do that on a live stream. But once you connect your wallet, send through basically click connect, and then ultimately one button, you do the transfer. And for doing that, you'll see at the bottom over here, it will show you how many points you're getting for doing that transfer, and it will move it straight onto the other chain, which is incredible. Okay, in terms of altcoins, now the question that you have to ask yourself is this. Okay, it's a bit of a messy chart. We had the presence of a bullish divergence, which is starting to form as the RSI is coming down. Price is moving up over here. Hopefully, we get triple bullish divergence and we can start to see price moving up. But the question that you have to pose to yourself over here is, Are you closer to the top of Bitcoin dominance, or are you closer to the bottom of Bitcoin dominance? And obviously over here, coming into the bottom of the range low, the answer would have been over there that you're closer to the closer to the bottom of the Bitcoin dominance, which means that you're probably better off playing Bitcoin over altcoins because you expect Bitcoin dominance is going to move up. But now price is starting to really reach close to our final targets over here, which is in the 60 to 62% region. So again, I pose the question to you, is Bitcoin dominance closer to topping or bottoming? The answer should be it's closer to topping, which means you expect some form of a pullback in Bitcoin dominance, which means now could be the best time to be allocating into your longer term altcoin picks, which you want to be holding for the rest of the cycle. So far, of course, this is one of the ones that I'm taking on leverage. We're up almost $5,000 in this stream alone, up almost 15%. So beautiful, beautiful trade over there. So ultimately, I am looking for Bitcoin dominance to top out pretty soon. ETH is getting smashed. If you look at ETH against Solana, it's lost 30% in 2 weeks. Very, very painful. I know there's a lot of ETH maxis out there. The Ethereum ETF final decision is going to be coming up. The deadlines are this week. We have 𝗓𝗏𝗡, which is happening on the 23rd of May. We have ARC21 shares on the 24th of May. HashDex is on May the 30th. And then there's more that are coming up in August. Fidelity and BlackRock, these are the most likely ones to get approved, is going to be in August. So if these get delayed now, there might be a little bit of a catch-up trade in ETH, but at the moment this is starting to look a bit like capitulation to me. You can see the old range that had been holding, range high, range low, price literally in a straight downtrend, and this feels to me for ETH maxis like alt capitulation on a weekly time frame. We are now at new lows, right, within this cycle, which is mega painful. What about USD? Well, ultimately, when you look at the ETH USD chart, we're very, very close to a bottoming process, at least over here, because you can view the range, right? Range low, range high, mid-range. Now, if we ultimately take that range level and we look for the 0.5 level, which is always significant in these bull markets, we're very, very, very close to tagging that level, which is coming in just under around that 2,000, just below 2,800, so it's $2,700. So that is ETH USD. Would I be buying ETH here? No, not necessarily. I want to wait to see a proper break of structure. I want to see bulls take control. In order for that to happen, we need to see something like this. We need to see a big candle up, and then probably you're going to have a bit of a pullback. So price needs to move up aggressively. Then you have to have a pullback, create a higher low, create a higher high, create a higher low, break back into the range. At that point, probably I'd be willing to allocate from Bitcoin into ETH or more altcoins. For now, it's of paramount importance that when you are trading altcoins, you're actually looking at the chart against BTC. So for example, Solana has been one of my biggest positions, and we'll get into some of the altcoin requests in a moment. Let's quickly bring this back here. Let's move it to the end. We'll do some altcoin requests. Solana has been one of the biggest positions that I've had. And the reason why is because the chart is very, very strong against Bitcoin. And if Solana can break and hold above $160 over here, it's really going to look good, and it's going to open up the possibility of moving at least to the next resistance level, which is 207. So remember, we went long in the circle down here. So currently average entry at $125. That puts this trade up. How much? $125. Let's have a look. This puts our trade up 30% currently on a massive spot position. I'm very happy with that. And if we get to the top side over here, that's about a 65% gain. Now ask yourself, if you're trying to trade Bitcoin, how much would you have to get out of Bitcoin to get that 65% gain? Well, let's assume that you also along Bitcoin from the bottom over there and you got the 65% gain. That would have to send price up to $96,000, which could very well be near the cycle top. So this is where it makes sense to start to play altcoins, right? It's coin dependent, right? You don't want to be longing XRP. You don't want to long XRP, right? XRP against Bitcoin is in a straight downtrend. I'm just being honest. Okay, before we get into altcoin requests, guys, also MintSwap. I've mentioned it many, many times to you before. If you want a 70% reduction in fees on the ETH chain and you're swapping from ETH into USD, this is giving you 70% less than what you're seeing on Uniswap, which is, of course, one of the biggest DEXs for Ethereum. The other thing that I wanted to mention, if I know a lot of the community are constantly creating tokens, right? If you want a market maker, Volumint also offers that, right? They can do market making for you. Use the link in the description below. Go and have a look. They do chart painting, they do marketing, they do a whole bunch of stuff. But the most important thing is market making. All right, GME. I don't know what's the story with GME if they've halted the trading. At the end of the day, the GME with hat got absolutely dumped. Now, I don't know what the reason is. I know that yesterday RUNE mentioned this one over here, which is Roaring Kitty with hat. And live on the stream, he said something along the lines of, this is a meme coin, and he wants you guys to know that it's a meme coin, and he's not holding it for the long term. And that happened on that candle. As he said that, boom, it went down. As he said that, this one also went down. So I don't know if it's because they related the two. They were like, well, this one is, of course, GameStop with hat, and this one's Roaring Kitty with hat. So maybe they thought that RUNE's going to be dumping that as well. So ultimately, look, Whale Room members are still above entry. I'm still holding. Nothing much else that I can say on this one. I don't know if the dump happened because of that. So let's continue. Let's look at some of the actual altcoins that are really pumping. Some of the top performers, of course, has been also, let's look at the top contenders that we've been looking at is 𝗠𝗓𝗓. How is 𝗠𝗓𝗓 doing? Okay. Let's see. Okay, 𝗠𝗓𝗓 reclaiming the key mid-range level. That is a strong opportunity. If there is going to be a catch-up trade with the rest of the altcoins in comparison to the strong moving coins, 𝗠𝗓𝗓 is a decent one, right? Let's look at 𝗓𝗓. Okay, 𝗓𝗓's got a little bit of resistance over here, but I would think that it's not immune. How's NEAR doing? NEAR's pushing up back towards those new highs for this cycle. Injective. Let's look at Injective over here. Okay. A little bit sloppy over here. I really would have liked to see Injective come back into the zone at $18, but no guarantee that that's going to happen. You know, at the end of the day, that is a wick fill in terms of if you view this wick over here. Let's quickly measure it out. So grab the 50%. I mean, that's close enough, guys. Close enough to hitting the 50% of the wick over there. That's a possibility that will be the bottom for Injective, and it's going to continue up. AVAX was at key support yesterday. We covered it on Whale Room. Look at that. Hitting that level at $31 and starting to move back towards the upside. So all in all, that's looking good. Casper breaking back above this key level. We're hoping for a deeper pullback into the zone. I'm already long on Casper. You guys know it's part of my longer term portfolio over here. Maybe we have high lows in the making with lows, higher low. Watch for the next higher high, the following pullback over there. If it comes back into this range level, then that starts to become a strong buying opportunity, and maybe the move to Rust will start to get this moving, right? What else? Lithium underperforming. Interestingly, Lithium is underperforming. I wouldn't trade the coins that are underperforming. They say, cut your losers, let your winners run, right? You want a long strength and avoid weak coins. Cardano, as much trouble as 𝗕𝗓𝗓𝗔𝗡 seems to give Cardano, this is coming into a key level, right? This is a key level over here. If it holds a support, it should lead to a pretty substantial bounce. Let's see the real world asset tokens. Let's look at ONDO. Okay, ONDO looking decent. Mantra also looking decent, still putting in higher lows, not higher highs yet, but putting in higher lows. What else have we got? Okay, meme coins. Let's look at the meme coins. Are the meme coins really wrecked like they say they are? Are they really wrecked? Well, this is holding an upsloping trend line. This is WOJAK. Obviously, not as much attention on WOJAK. Very, very messy chart over here. Let's just clean this up. This is what we said you need to see is a break back above that level. We're looking at higher lows in the making. So far, that is still the case. If you start to see WIF break above $3.16, that will start to look good for holding the mid-range, and then you can move up to the next range level. And then I would anticipate it probably will start to play out like PEPE, right? So let's quickly go up to PEPE. There you go. Here is PEPE, which has already made all-time highs. Now, if you are long on PEPE, you don't want to see it break back below this level. So that level is coming in at 9985. 9985, significant zone, must hold. If you start to close back below there, there's a possibility that this is going to be a deviation over the top side of the range, which would look like that. You have a lot of pent-up liquidity over here, and then really that could do something like this. So be careful of that if you're long on PEPE. Which other ones? MAGA. MAGA, this could be an opportunity. If it's down for longer-term bags, this one could be an opportunity. Remember, Trump is going to make a whole lot of noise. You guys have already seen it. You know what he's like, whether you love him or hate him. It's a money maker, right? If you see this come back into the zone over here, that becomes an opportunity to go long. Okay, what else? What else? Let's see. Anything else worth mentioning over here? How's RUNE doing? Okay, very, very close from taking out those highs. Of course, we do have this pivot level, right? In terms of what was the previous support. There you go, previous support, broke it, resistance, resistance. You need to get back above that trend line, and most notably, you need to get back above $7.18. So let's go into some of the meme coins. Guys, just a reminder, when the stream does end, go straight away. Sign up. You have 15 days left. Sign up. Click that link below. Register for the GUMMY airdrop. You can do it again both on Blowfin and on Bybit. I don't get anything out of it, by the way. Like, I don't know, maybe you guys think I get some sort of a GUMMY kickback. I don't get anything if you do that. It's really for your own benefit. It's just a free incentive for you if you want some of the GUMMY token, which looks like this, right? Here's the GUMMY trade. So GUMMY broke back below the range lows, above now, holding that as support. If it holds that as support, you're looking for a trade back to the mid-range, which is going to give you about a 55% move. And then to the top side of the range, that's about 116% over there. Let's look at basedAI. Remember, basedAI and PEPE coin, the OG PEPE coin, are interrelated. Has basedAI bottom? That's the question. Let's move on to daily time frame. There we go. Let's have a look. Okay, I like it. I like it as a support level that's holding. If the rest of the market gets cooking over here, I think that more likely than not, that probably was a major, major bottom for PEPE coin. What's our other favorite one is 𝗘𝗘𝗓. Let's have a look at 𝗘𝗘𝗓. Where's 𝗘𝗘𝗓? Here we go. How is 𝗘𝗘𝗓 doing? Okay. 𝗘𝗘𝗓, I mentioned it before, right? If you looked on the lower time frame, we'll go into the 4-hour time frame over here. I mentioned it before, rejection from the top side of the range over there was most likely going to send into mid-range. You broke that. You had a beautiful bottoming candle over there on 𝗘𝗘𝗓. Price moved up again, hit the range high, came back down. Ultimately, I think the next attempt at this range high at around 0. Let's call it 10 cents. Round it up, 10 cents. The next attempt at 10 cents probably breaks above 10 cents. Once you flip that level, it's going to be very, very significant. You're going to start to form a new range, and then you can move back into price discovery. So, guys, that's it from me. Use the links in the description below. Sign up to get your GUMMY tokens, and then also look at dBridge. Get your points, right? Get your points on dBridge. Experiment over there. Most seamless experience I've ever seen with cross-chain and bridging. I'll see you guys all on the next one. Have a great day, and cheers for now.